We're going to begin in New York, a historic day in a courtroom here, opening statements in the first ever criminal trial of a former president of these United States. Donald Trump, the presumptive Republican presidential nominee, will spend much of the next few weeks in court hearing the evidence against him. He says the so-called hush money trial is you've heard this term before from him, witch hunt. Robert Costa is at the courthouse in Lower Manhattan covering all of it. Bob, good morning to you.
Good morning, Tony. Today, there are major frustrations in Trump's inner circle about jury selection, about how this jury ended up being the one, and fears that it could convict former President Donald Trump. But today, the prosecution plows ahead, about to call its first witness.
History is unfolding in Lower Manhattan as prosecutors begin laying out the case against former President Trump this morning. The jury, made up of 7 men and 5 women plus 6 alternates, took just a week to seat.
The judge wants us to go as fast as possible. That's for his reasons, not for my reasons.
Trump faces 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. He's accused of using his former lawyer Michael Cohen to funnel payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels. Prosecutors say it was an effort to stop the alleged affair from becoming a scandal just before the 2016 election. Trump denies any wrongdoing and has said he's willing to take the stand.
Yeah, I would testify, absolutely.
The prosecution's witness list includes not only Cohen and Daniels, but also former Trump aide Hope Hicks and former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker, who is expected to be called first to testify about the alleged catch-and-kill scheme to purchase and prevent the circulation of negative Trump stories. This trial has kept Trump largely sidelined from campaigning during most of the week, and severe weather kept him from returning to the trail this weekend in North Carolina. He called in to let supporters know about the last-minute cancellation.
We'll make up for this very quickly at another time.
Trump allies say he is determined to keep making campaign stops on weekends and in New York City like he did last week.
It makes me campaign locally, and that's okay.
David Pecker is expected to be the first witness called by the prosecution, but his name wasn't known until late by Trump's legal team because the prosecution feared Trump would somehow go off about the person named on social media. So you can expect Trump's legal team to now push for a delay in the questioning, but the judge so far has dismissed such requests. Gayle.
CBS News legal analyst Ricky Kleeman is with us now at the table. Ricky, good morning. Good to see you. Here we go. You know, you're the perfect person to have here today because you've been called the queen of opening statements. Why are they so significant? I once read that many jurors make their decisions based on opening statements. I thought, how can that be true before they hear the evidence?
80%.
80%
of jurors' minds are made up at the end of opening statements, according to many a study, and there's a reason for that. If you hear a persuasive story, and then you hear another persuasive story, you make a decision, just as how your mind works, as to which one you believe. And if you get invested in that belief, like that's your belief, it takes a lot to knock you off that investment.
So it carries you through the trial.
Absolutely.
So what do you think each side is going to say in their opening statements?
Well, this is their most important day besides jury selection. The prosecution is going to say exactly what it gave us a year ago in his statement of facts. They're going to talk about a case that they don't want to call the hush money case. They really want to look at it as an election interference case. And they're going to get a bit of help from the judge because that's how he defines it. What the prosecution is going to tell is a story of a scheme that the allegations say Donald Trump, Michael Cohen, David Pecker, the person who runs or ran the National Enquirer, got together and agreed or conspired to catch stories that were bad about Donald Trump and then bury them. So one story that David Pecker didn't want to pay for because the money was too much is a story from a woman named Stormy Daniels, who was a porn star who claimed to have had a one-night stand with Donald Trump.
Which he denies.
Which he denies. And Michael Cohen paid her off. So what is this case about? This case is about falsification of business records in the year 2017, after he is elected, to then pay Michael Cohen back for giving the money to hush up Stormy Daniels.
But election interference because it would deny the American people in 2016 the ability to get all the information about their candidate.
Precisely, right on top of the Access Hollywood tape.
That's good to tie that together. But, you know, in the court of public opinion, most people think, who cares? These are insignificant charges. Even if he's convicted, I'm still going to vote for him. I've heard many people say this. In the court of law, is this a significant case?
In the court of law, it's a very significant case.
Because?
It's a big case for the prosecution because you have 34 counts that are felonies. This is not a misdemeanor case. It's bumped up because of the election violation, according to the prosecution. Defense says, no way. Donald Trump was working with Michael Cohen. The whole Trump family worked with Michael Cohen in 2017. These are legal fees, and they're paid for the right way. And that Donald Trump really didn't have anything to do with this hush money payment.
Donald Trump said he'll testify real quick.
Yes.
Do you think he will? Yes or no?
No, I don't.
All right, Ricky Kleeman, thank you so much.
Thank you, Ricky. All right, we're going to begin, actually, with that highly anticipated testimony in the criminal hush money trial of Donald Trump, the former president. He was sitting just feet away from the first witness to testify yesterday, someone who had been very close to him in the tabloid media world. That's former National Enquirer boss David Pecker, who will be back on the stand to back up prosecutors' claims that he worked with Trump to hide information before the 2016 election and therefore influence it. Trump has pleaded not guilty to the 34 charges against him. Robert Costa, still at the courthouse, still covering it all for us. Bob, you're going to know that corner well. Good morning.
I do. Good morning, Tony. Inside the court yesterday, it was historic and tense, with former President Trump looking on, mostly muted, as opening statements were made and the first witness was called. Outside the court, Trump was lashing out.
Leaving the courtroom on Monday, former President Donald Trump summarized his defense.
It's a case as to bookkeeping, which is a very minor thing.
Prosecutors argued in their opening statement this case is about a criminal conspiracy and a cover-up involving steps taken by Trump to conceal what they say was election fraud. The prosecution pointed to a 2015 meeting among Trump, his former lawyer Michael Cohen, and then National Enquirer publisher David Pecker at Trump Tower, where they allegedly worked out a plan to conceal negative information regarding Trump's alleged sexual encounter with former adult film star Stormy Daniels, all of which Trump denies. Cohen then paid Daniels $130,000 to suppress her story 1 month before the 2016 presidential election. Trump later reimbursed Cohen, citing the payment as legal fees. Prosecutors Monday called it a payoff.
This is the case. So we did nothing wrong.
David Pecker was called as the prosecution's first witness and in very brief testimony acknowledged the National Enquirer used checkbook journalism to pay for stories, but wasn't asked about the 2015 meeting yet. He'll be back on the stand today. The defense insists Trump didn't commit any crimes and argued there's nothing wrong with trying to influence an election. It's called democracy. Meanwhile, the former president swung the spotlight on President Biden, falsely claiming that Democrats in Washington orchestrated his indictment to keep him off the campaign trail.
I'm here instead of being able to be in Pennsylvania and Georgia and lots of other places campaigning.
The first order of business today, a high-stakes hearing about the gag order in this case and whether Trump will be held in contempt of court for a blizzard of social media posts about this case. And then later in the day, witness testimony will continue. Gayle.
All right, we'll be watching. Thank you, Bob.
In New York today, former President Trump's lawyers will resume their questioning of the first witness in his criminal hush money trial. Former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker has been testifying for days about a scheme to withhold information from the American people. Robert Costa is outside the courthouse. Bob, good morning.
Good morning, Vlad. Yesterday, David Pecker called Donald Trump a longtime mentor, but that doesn't change the fact that Pecker's testimony is filling in a detailed picture about a behind-the-scenes operation to spend thousands of dollars to stop scandals from erupting during Trump's 2016 campaign.
Former President Trump started out the day praising former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker at a campaign stop.
David's been very nice, a nice guy.
But a short time later, he looked on as Pecker took the stand, explaining how he and Trump's former lawyer Michael Cohen worked together to catch and kill negative stories about then-candidate Trump in 2016. In one instance, Pecker paid former Playboy model Karen McDougal $150,000 for the rights to her story about an alleged affair with Trump, which was never published by the Enquirer, and Trump denies. Pecker testified Cohen told him to go ahead and buy this story and the boss will take care of it. He said they didn't want the story to, quote, embarrass or hurt the campaign. McDougal spoke about the payments in 2018.
If Donald Trump hadn't been running for president, do you believe this deal would have been made with AMI? Knowing what you know now.
Probably not. No. Probably not.
And when the now infamous Access Hollywood tape surfaced weeks before the election.
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Pecker says discussions heated up about how to handle allegations from adult film star Stormy Daniels about a sexual encounter with Trump that he says didn't happen. Pecker testified he refused to pay, telling Cohen, "I am not a bank," and suggested Cohen pay her himself, which he did to the tune of $130,000. Trump is charged with falsifying business records to hide the repayment to Cohen.
The DA's case is really rises and falls with David Pecker's testimony because he is the linchpin behind their theory of this sort of conspiratorial scheme to influence the election.
David Pecker will be back on the witness stand today, and Trump, he denies the charges in this case. He also continues to vent his frustrations about being off the campaign trail. Natalie.
All right, Bob, we'll continue to watch what happens there today. Thanks.